Focus this hour is once again a war raging between the executive and the judiciary. Well, it's not for the first time. Ever since NJAC was grabbed by none other than a constitution bench of the Supreme Court of India, this debate has raged on in the corridors of the Indian judiciary, at the Supreme Court and also in the political quarters. One after the other, you have had various stinging statements coming in from Union Law Minister Kiren Rijiju, who has said that the present collegium system is opaque and is in a need for reform. He even went on to say that clearly there's a need for reform and more importantly, judges can't go ahead and keep appointing judges. There is a say that the government must have, and it's an extra constitutional procedure that has been developed by the Supreme Court of India. Now, you've had the Supreme Court judges responding to the issue, saying that collegium is the law of the land after the NJAC verdict. You also had the Vice President and the Chair of the Rajya Sabha, Mr. Dhankar, making a statement about judicial appointments in this country. Congress MP Manish Tiwari, he has given an adjournment notice in Parliament to discuss this issue, the confrontation of the judiciary and the government. He has said that right now it is not proper for government functionaries, including the ministers, to make statements like these, and the subject must be discussed on the floor of the House. As expected, a lot of political reactions have been coming in on the story. This pertains to the appointment at the High Court and the Supreme Court in the country.
Parliament, in a much-needed historic step, passed the 99th Constitutional Amendment Bill, paving way for the National Judicial Commission. There was unprecedented support. The Lok Sabha unanimously voted in its favor, with there being no abstention. This House, too, passed it unanimously with one abstention. Rarely in parliamentary democracy there has been such massive support to a constitutional legislation. This was culmination of a basic, fundamental parliamentary process. This historic parliamentary mandate was undone by the Supreme Court by a majority of 4:1, finding the same as not being in consonance with the judicially evolved doctrine of basic structure of the Constitution. There is no parallel to such development in democratic history, where a duly legitimized constitutional prescription has been judicially undone.
The Supreme Court has said that the Parliament can make laws, but it is the judiciary which has the responsibility to scrutinize them. This is almost like collision course that we have been talking about.
Well, that's the constitutional arrangement. Parliament has the right to make laws, but the final arbiter of those laws in terms of how they square up on the touchstone of constitutionality is a mandate given by the Constitution to the courts. And therefore this confrontation, which is unfortunately building up, does not augur well for the constitutional scheme. And therefore I had given a notice under Rule 184, an adjournment notice, to have a detailed discussion in the House about this potential situation which is developing. Yesterday also the Apex Court in fact has observed and told the Attorney General that the NJAC judgment is the law of the land, and the law of the land has to be implemented. They impede the process of justice.
सर, जिस तरह से
कांग्रेस पार्टी कह रही है कि आप लोग लगातार जुडिशरी के ऊपर कमेंट कर रहे हैं, देयर इज अ कन्फ्रंटेशन विद द जुडिशरी, इस पे क्या कहेंगे आप?
देखो, कांग्रेस पार्टी और हम में फ़र्क है ना। कांग्रेस पार्टी जैसा काम करते थे हम वैसे नहीं कर सकते।
First question to you: this whole tussle is happening. What was better, NJAC or the collegium system?
At the moment, we can't comment upon so far national that whatever the law they want to make. But so far as collegium is concerned, this is the law at the moment. And we cannot, and nobody can get out of that at this stage. Only if the government want, and especially both the houses, they can enact the new law. But at the moment, collegium system doing much better, and if the government wants any change, for that purpose they can amend the law. Otherwise, if they will make the law, ultimately it will come again before the Honorable Supreme Court. So there should not be any tussle in between government and the judiciary, that is especially the Supreme Court. And I think the Law Minister, especially the Honorable Prime Minister, should intervene in this matter now.
Cutting across to my colleagues Ananya Bhatnagar and Arunima joining us on the broadcast. Arunima, first a word from you about the view that has been coming in from the Union Law Minister and the statement made by the Chair of the Rajya Sabha and also the Vice President, Mr. Dhankar.
So like Manish Tiwari accused the government and the executive of eroding people's faith in judiciary. That's the charge that has come out after those public statements. First by the Law Minister when he spoke to me in that exclusive conversation, alleging that the collegium system is opaque and that since there are so much pendencies in the higher judiciary, judges should focus on tackling those cases rather than utilize their time in deciding administrative matters like judicial appointment. Then the Vice President, as Chairperson of the Rajya Sabha, we just played out his soundbite. He too said that the decision to strike down NJAC was violation of people's mandate. Now what the Supreme Court judges have said that ultimately what they pronounce is the law of the land. So this public criticism of a Supreme Court order so many years later doesn't augur well, and that is what Manish Tiwari also said in his adjournment notice, that by saying all of this, essentially what government is doing, what executive is doing, is making people lose their faith in the judiciary and therefore harming that institution. But on record, Kiren Rijiju has come and said that there is no plan to bring in an amended NJAC. This was when Mallikarjun Kharge asked him a pointed question on the floor of Rajya Sabha. The way executive and Supreme Court are clashing on this matter, I think the last word is yet to be said.
Cutting across to my colleague Ananya Bhatnagar as well. Ananya, you've tracked those hearings where, in an open court, I remember even earlier during the time of Justice T.S. Thakur, judicial appointments used to be discussed. Tell us about the kind of observations, the comments that have come in as far as judicial appointments are concerned, and what has the Chief Justice of India, Justice D.Y. Chandrachud, has said so far.
Well, definitely, Anusha, but first the background of the matter. It all started on 18th October 2022 when the Law Minister actually made some comments about how the NJAC was a very, very much better system and the collegium is a much opaque system. Then on 11th of November, when the Supreme Court was hearing a petition with regards to the collegium recommendations being sent back and there being no timeline in which the government actually responds to those collegium recommendations, the Supreme Court said that it's not issuing a contempt notice. Remember, there was a contempt petition that was there. And said that we are issuing a simple notice to know as to what the position is. But the Supreme Court got, in fact, in the later hearings of that particular petition, the Supreme Court got egged on the collegium recommendations being set by, because remember the 20 names were sent back by the central government to the collegium for reconsideration for the second one. Out of those 20 names, almost 11 were those who were fresh appointees and 9 were those which were actually second or third time being sent back to the government. It was also included the name of Mr. Saurabh Kirpal, who is in fact a senior advocate. His recommendation was given out in 2017 first time. So the Supreme Court got egged and said that the second or third time the collegium recommendations coming back to the collegium is something that is a violation of the laws of the Supreme Court, the judgments of the Supreme Court, whether we talk of the NJAC judgment or the 2017 contempt judgment of the topmost court of the country. Apart from that, in the last hearing that happened yesterday, the Supreme Court made various comments. In fact, the first one being that it is the final custodian of the law, though the Parliament is the supreme body to, in fact, pass a law, to enact a law, but then the Supreme Court is the final arbitrator of the law. In case it finds something wrong in that particular law, it can strike down, it can read down a particular law, and it's the jurisdiction of the Supreme Court.
Ananya, there's one point I want to understand from you, very briefly. What has the Attorney General said on this matter? The fact that the Union government, after so many years, has not filed a review petition against the NJAC.
Well, definitely, the Attorney General has been defending the central government.
I'm very sorry, Ananya, to interrupt you at this point in time. There are various important details which are coming in from the state of Himachal. This is an update. Pratibha Singh supporters are outside the Congress office. They demand that she be made the Chief Minister. Pratibha Singh, the wife of late leader and the former Chief Minister of Himachal Pradesh, Veerbhadra Singh, has been one of the key faces in the campaign of the Congress party in the state of Himachal Pradesh. There are multiple faces which are fighting within the Congress party to be the chief ministerial phase. There's an important legislative party meeting which I believe has also been held with the Congress party. There are central observers who are present right now, but that kind of sloganeering happening only tells us the kind of things and the factionalism which is happening within the Grand Old Party. Reactions lined up for you.
हमारे जो हिमाचल प्रदेश की कांग्रेस की अध्यक्ष है, उनकी उपस्थिति में पूरी कांग्रेस पार्टी जीती है और उनको इसका श्रेय मिलना चाहिए, क्योंकि 3 बारी वो मेंबर ऑफ पार्लियामेंट रही। आज वो मुख्यमंत्री की हकदार है। हाँ, उनके समर्थन में रानी साहिबा के।
मेरा नाम जितेंद्र चौहान है। हम ये कहना चाहते हैं कि हम हॉली लॉज के साथ हैं और हमेशा लास्ट तक हॉली लॉज के साथ ही रहेंगे।
हम प्रदेश का मुख्यमंत्री श्रीमती प्रतिभा सिंह जी को देखना चाहते हैं, क्योंकि इस प्रदेश का हित के लिए श्री प्रतिभा सिंह ही एक ऐसे नेता हैं जो इस प्रदेश के लिए मिलजुल कर चला सकते हैं, क्योंकि उन्होंने पहले भी मल्टी पार्लियामेंट्री चुनाव को जीता है। सुखविंदर जी भी एक हमारे नेता हैं, लेकिन इस समय रानी साहिबा ही ज़्यादा समर्थित नेता हैं, जिनके समर्थक यहाँ पे आप उनको ज़्यादा जुर्वा है राजनीति का। उनकी अध्यक्षता में ही कांग्रेस पार्टी सत्ता में आई है।
Well, those are the sort of reactions coming in. I want to cut across to Akash. Akash, what happened at the legislature party meeting? And why are these people sloganeering? Does it look like that it won't be a peaceful resolution? There is some factionalism which is clearly brewing, perhaps getting out of hand as well?
So Anusha, as of now, these are the supporters of Pratibha Singh, and these people are raising slogans that Pratibha Singh should be the next chief minister. This is the area, Shimla urban area, and we know that specifically in this area, you know, Pratibha Singh has got a lot of supporters. In fact, this is not the first time. Just a few minutes back, we saw that how Bhupesh Bagel's car was stopped and how you know, slogans were raised in front of that particular car as well. Talking about the CLP meeting, so you know, at around 6 p.m. we are expecting this meeting and a resolution would be passed. Yes, as you rightly mentioned, that we can expect some sort of roar before that particular meeting, but it would be interesting to see, because you know, on one hand we have these people who are you know, raising these slogans that they want their Rani Sahiba to be the next chief minister. On the other hand, we have these leaders who are coming out in public that they would be accepting whatever High Command would decide. Now it would be interesting to see if the resolution can be passed in that particular meeting, because you know, as far as this particular meeting is concerned, so initially it was scheduled for 12 p.m. then it you know, that would reschedule for 1 p.m., 2 p.m., 3 p.m. and now finally it is going to happen at 6 p.m. So you know, things are not very easy here in Himachal Pradesh, and in some time from now we'll get some sort of clarity as to who will be the next CM or if this resolution is passed successfully or not.
All right, that's the sloganeering happening in Shimla by the supporters of Pratibha Singh. They demand that she should be made the chief minister. We have heard her son as well speaking that the entire election campaign for the Congress party was won on the name of his family, on the family of Pratibha Singh's name, Veerbhadra Singh's name. And now when the results have gone in the favor of the Congress party, the family can't be just abandoned. Pratibha Singh deserves to be the chief minister. That's what her son has said, and they have very openly staked claim for the chief ministerial phase, to be the chief ministerial phase. Not that there are no other contenders who are absent. There are other contenders as well within the state of Himachal Pradesh who claim that they should be made the chief minister. Akash, tell us about the other names. If there are supporters of Pratibha Singh who are sloganeering, there are different kinds of demands, various kind of demands which are being made by the likes of other contenders as well, and these are other heavyweights within the Himachal Pradesh Congress.
As of now, I'm showing you the visuals from the Oberoi Hotel where all three observers are basically coming out. We know that for 6 p.m. this CLP meeting is scheduled, and you know, for that these observers are coming out. You can see in the visuals Rajiv Shukla, Bhupesh Baghel and also Bhupendra Hooda. These leaders are coming out and they'll be heading to Rajiv Bhavan, which is the Congress office, and you know, it is just 800 meters away, and this crucial meeting is going to happen. You asked about the other names, so we know Sukhwinder Singh Sukhu is also in the race. We know that you know, some other names are also there, but as of now this seems like a contest between Sukhwinder Singh Sukhu and Pratibha Singh. And as of now I'm showing you these visuals where you can see the observers coming out of the Oberoi Hotel. Early in the day they went to Raj Bhavan as well, and you know, our sources are telling that they sought time from the governor there, and as of now, before the CLP meeting, these are the visuals. And in fact, you know, it is important to mention that a number of MLAs met these observers. In fact, you know, specifically Pratibha Singh met them just when they arrived, and just when they arrived, and you know, also we are learning that Sukhwinder Singh Sukhu will also be meeting them. But as of now, these leaders will be heading towards the Congress office, because at 6 p.m. we'll be having this crucial meeting. And also, you know, as I mentioned earlier, we are learning concerning that no voting will take place there in the meeting because the ultimate aim is to, okay, we'll try to talk to them as well.
No, this is generally meeting people. And then, I mean, a meeting has been convened with, MLAs, they are gradually reaching to Simla because people are living in far-flung areas. So they are gradually reaching here. The moment all the MLAs are here, then we will convene a meeting where a resolution will be passed to authorize the party high command.
So that means you are trying to say that there will no voting procedure will happen on the name of Chief Minister.
The voting procedure only takes place when there is a dispute. There is no dispute.
And the entire authority will be given to the High Command to select the Chief Minister. So MLA's consent. What about the MLA's consent, sir? What about MLA's consent? Will you?
प्रतिभा सिंह के यहाँ पर कई सारे समर्थक नजर आए थे जो कि नारेबाजी करते हुए नजर आए ऑब्जर्वर्स की गाड़ी पर।
सबके समर्थक हैं।
All right. So Rajiv Shukla clearly saying that a resolution will be passed and.
पहुंच गए
सर नाम को लेकर कुछ मंथन हुआ
सर मीटिंग आज कितने बजे होगी हमसे कोई क्लेम नहीं किया सर मीटिंग कितने बजे क्लेम मत कराओ मीटिंग सर कितने बजे होगी सर मीटिंग
majority of the MLAs, but if
कुछ तय हुआ है
डन ब्रदर डन हो गया मैम
मीटिंग आज 6 बजे होगी
कांग्रेस पार्टी
कोशिश कर रहा है और आप आएंगे भी नहीं
हम किसी प्रेशर
All right. So Rajiv Shukla clearly saying that a meeting is going to happen and it was rescheduled because several of the MLAs did not arrive here in Shimla and they are coming from remote areas as well. And this is the reason why this meeting was rescheduled. Also talking about the particular development. So Anusha, he's clearly saying that no voting will happen and they'll, the aim of this CLP is to pass one-line resolution.
Akash, that's the central observer Rajiv Shukla talking, and the fact that he is saying कि voting की ज़रूरत नहीं है क्योंकि कोई भी difference of opinion नहीं है, there will be a one-line resolution. That means the party has already decided on the name of the chief minister.
Anusha, I cannot hear your question. Can you please repeat?
Akash, the fact that the central observer is saying that it's going to be a one-line resolution and there is no need for any kind of voting at the party meeting that happens means that the party has already decided on the name of the chief minister.
There you have some supporters raising slogans once again, and there I'm showing you the visuals as of now. We have seen a number of instances in the day today when several supporters of Pratibha Singh came out and in fact raised slogans that they want Rani Sahiba to be the next chief minister. But as of now, CLP meeting is going to happen at around 6, Anusha, and Rajiv Shukla mentioned it very clearly that no voting would take place because there is no dispute as far as the name of the chief minister is concerned. But interestingly, we know that how this CLP meeting has been rescheduled for a number of times in the day today, and also talking about the contenders. So we know that how Pratibha Singh has accepted this in public, that yes, her name is very much in the list, and also on the other hand we had Sukhwinder Singh who also mentioned that he can be the next CM as well. But in some time from now, this CLP meeting would be starting, and this will give some sort of clarity as to what will be the fate of Himachal Pradesh and who will be the next chief minister here.
Various names: Sukhwinder Singh Sukhu, you have Pratibha Singh. These are the people who have been making claims to be the next chief minister for the state of Himachal Pradesh. Pratibha Singh, the wife or rather the widow of late Veerbhadra Singh, somebody who has led the Congress campaign, was very instrumental in mobilizing the women supporters and various other factions within the Congress party. Also mobilized the vote for the key, caste equations, and one of the tall leaders as far as the region of, as far as the state of Himachal Pradesh is concerned. The state statements that have come out from Pratibha Singh and her son in the last 24 hours have clearly indicated that the mother has made a claim, she has made a claim for the position of the Chief Minister. The son is on record to say that it was the family that led the campaign for the Congress party. It was Veerbhadra Singh's name that the Congress party banged on. And now when the Chief Minister's face is decided, they should be given their due credit. Well, if it's the Congress party, there is bound to be some degree of factionalism. There's bound to be some degree of power play within the party. And if there's a central observer, Mr. Rajiv Shukla, who's actually saying that there is no need for any kind of voting because there is already a name which has been decided. It's only going to be a one-line resolution. So all eyes at 6 p.m. on that crucial meeting. If it's a one-line resolution which is passed, who are the factions which are happy with it? Will the people who've been staking a claim and are not that name, will they be happy? Will the central leadership be able to unite the state unit? Those are the key things to watch out for. Akash Sharma on the ground. Now, we're shifting our focus back to the story where there is a direct conflict between the executive and the judiciary. NJAC, National Judicial Appointment Commission, a law that was framed in 1415, was scrapped by a constitution bench of the Supreme Court, a procedure that was brought in by the Modi government in the first term of the Modi government that sought to rationalize and make it more transparent as far as judicial appointments at the High Court and Supreme Court is concerned. That law was scrapped, called violative of the basic structure of the Constitution. Interestingly, the Union government never filed a review petition against that constitution bench judgment. Years later, now there is a debate raging because there's one after the other statement from the Union Law Minister who has criticized the present collegium system. What is a collegium system? Which means the top judges of the Supreme Court, 3 to 5, sit together. They decide on the name of the judges that need to be appointed at the High Court and the Supreme Court. There's a consensus that is built. There's a resolution that is passed and it's put on the website of the Supreme Court of India. Now, how the judges are decided, how the shortlisting really happens, what are the various parameters which are taken into account, all of that happens behind closed door. There is no doubt that the present collegium system needs some kind of reform, but the manner in which the debate has been panning out seems to be very, very charged up and political. What does it really mean? I have with me on the broadcast Swapnil Kothari, who's a lawyer, Vikas Gupta, who's also an advocate in law, is joining us on the broadcast. Swapnil, coming to you first. NJAC was called violative of the basic structure of the Constitution. It was a constitution bench judgment by 5 judges of the Supreme Court of India. It's a given that unless the basis of the judgment is taken away, there is no fresh legislation that can be brought in by the union government. That's the law of the land. Now, NJAC was called violative of the basic structure, which means the Chief Justice of India has primacy in the appointment of judges at the Supreme Court and High Court. That being the position, I ask you legally as a student of law, is there really a scope for the government to bring in any kind of law? And if there is no scope, how should we understand this political noise coming in from the ministers, from the Vice President himself?
Well, Anusha, the basic fallacy here lies in the government not challenging the NJAC decision itself. They should have challenged that at the very first instance. Now, the fact is that they've risen up so late now, and now they want to come out with a new law. Well, that's within their powers. That's their prerogative. The legislature can come out.
So, just one point. I don't think government is saying we're going to bring in a new law. In fact, that was clarified on the floor of the House. Mr. Kharge asked that question, and it was clarified that no, we're not getting NJAC Part 2.
Right, that's great. Then why is there so much noise by the law minister saying that there could be a new law? Jagdeep Dhankar saying the same thing. So, somewhere maybe there seems to be some sort of a mismatch between, one arm which says, yes, we may come out with it. And the second one says, no, we'll not do that. There's not going to be any NJAC Part 2. Then what is the ruckus? What is it that they're trying to do? If you're not going to challenge the decision of the NJAC passed by the Supreme Court, if you're not going to come out with a new law, then what's the point in raising this brouhaha? Just go ahead with the jobs, accept this as a law of the land, and go by the MOP, that is the Memorandum of Procedure, prescribed by the Supreme Court, and go ahead and let the judiciary function as it is. Because what's happening is, because you're not passing the means that have been recommended, what's happening is that there is a less bench strength of judges, and the judges are already overburdened, and you're not passing muster, and that's your silent protest.
Let's address the elephant in the room, and I say it very bluntly. There's a lot of power tussle in the judicial appointments in this country, especially when it comes to the Supreme Court and High Court. These are very sensitive appointments which are made. They directly impact the socio-political structure of the country. They affect decisions which are coming in. That is why there's a background check also by the IB which is done. There's a certain say that the executive continues to have. I don't think this political brouhaha is without any rhyme or reason. There is a reason for it. Whether it's it's a mere power tactic, whether it's about just a very strong executive asserting itself, or there is much more to it. Perhaps only time can tell us.
Yes, but I still believe that given the two choices, if you feel that there is nepotism, there is opacity, it's not that the judges are appointing non-lawyers. The judges are appointing very, very qualified, capable lawyers. And if they happen to be some of their nepotistic relatives, then so be it, as opposed to an executive which is going to appoint an appointee on the judiciary like the United States, but there the check and balance system is extremely high and powerful. Here, unlike, and I'll just give you an example. I remember Chief Justice Warren Burger once being suggested by the White House president, I don't know who it was, maybe it was Reagan or Nixon, I don't know, that let's have a hotline between the two of us, Mr. Chief Justice. And he said that on the phone that the judiciary of the United States did not function at the behest of the executive and kept the phone down. I want to know how many people in this country, if they're appointed by the executive, or how many judges, especially at the top level, have that kind of guts or the courage to do that with the top executive. So until we get that kind of a thing, we are only 70 years old, 75 years old. I don't think this is a good idea to play around with. I mean, just imagine when you are having this sort of a ruckus, even when there is the law of the land which is there, and you're not passing muster, you're not giving the names, recommended names, you're not passing them, you're holding the judiciary to ransom as far as some of the aspects are concerned, then you can imagine when they have that final word. That's why the judges' case, there are 3 judges' cases, and one of the judges' cases clearly pointed out that the concurrence, the consultation of the Chief Justice of India means concurrence. And the judiciary knew that otherwise the independence of the judiciary, which is the basic structure of the constitution, will be impacted by these kind of executive
there was a time, Swapnil is talking about the judge's case. There was a first judge's case, and in fact that case said that executive has the primacy. There was a time in this country when it was actually the government who was calling shots when it came to judicial appointments, and we also have a precedent in this country when there were 2 instances when the supersession really happened, but the most infamous one, of course, was during and before the emergency that really happened in this country. Vikas, I want to come across to you and taking a word from you. Is this mere political noise which is being made? Is it mere power tactic which is being made? As I said very openly, that there is a lot of muscle flexing that happens in the judicial appointments. It's the reality of the day. And it's time that in Indian democracy, we speak more openly about it, because these are our judges at the end of the day. We should know how they are appointed. There has to be an open debate about how they are appointed. No doubt that the collegium system is opaque and needs reform. But the manner in which the statements have been coming in from the Union Law Minister, from Mr. Dhankar, what do you make of these statements?
Anusha has very rightly said by you in the opening remarks that it's a very assertive executive who's trying to test the waters through the Law Minister and through the Vice President of India. And undoubtedly, the present collegium system is partially opaque. It requires transparency. But at the same time, a balance needs to be carved out. It can't be given away completely in the hands of the executive so that they rule the judiciary also. And the one arm of the democracy which actually protects the constitution and democracy of the country goes in the hands of the executive. But at the same time, I would also say that time has come. We've traveled a long distance from 1992 to 2022. Where certain forms of reforms that needs to creep into the collegium system. At the moment, a lot of nepotism has crept into it, and the system needs to be transparent. How it has to be transparent, a long debate or discussion, if need be, in Parliament.
Swapnil and Vikas, I want to make one point to both of you gentlemen. The NJAC judgment is in 2 parts. One is the main judgment that had come out. And there was a second part of the judgment as well, where the Supreme Court said, let's appoint a secretariat. Let's have a detailed memorandum of procedure. Let's have some kind of transparency about who are the people who can become judges. They wanted to set up a mechanism so that there is certain degree of procedure, there's certain degree of transparency which has been brought in. I was speaking to a very senior legal journalist, and he said, in fact, the Supreme Court is in contempt of its own judgment because they have not set up the secretariat, because there is no memorandum of procedure which has been formulated in finality as was envisioned by the second part of the NJAC judgment. So when it comes to the top court of our country, an institution we all revere so much, there is so much more, Swapnil, that needs to be done.
Yes, Anusha, that's a fantastic question. Even I'm aware of this, and a lot of senior advocates like me have discussed this through and through, and we've tried to sort of persuade the Supreme Court to come out with this in our own ways. But I believe they have their own priorities. And this is something which I would not want to justify. If they've said it, which I know they have, then they should have done it. And I believe that, given this ruckus that has been raised, I'm sure Sanjay Kishan Kaul, who has chastised the government, will also take a look at, the second judge's case and possibly, considers developing this secretariat. Because I believe that there has to be a certain amount of transparency. And if there is opacity in some form, we can get rid of the opacity and get that transparent. That doesn't mean that we do away with the collegium system completely, because then that's going to do away with the independence of the judiciary, which is the basic structure of the constitution. So, Anusha, this is something which needs a revisit by the Supreme Court itself, because, the judges cannot do wrong. I mean, judges have to rectify their own wrong. That's the best way that I can put it. And those are the best people who can do it.
There's a famous legal maxim: you can't be the judge of your own cause.
Exactly.
That's the principles of equity that, the Supreme Court has been talking about. Because I want to take one last comment from you. There's also the criticism of the collegium system that it's extra constitutional. The word collegium is not mentioned in any part of the Indian Constitution. It's a concept developed by the judges, for the judges and of the judges. That's the criticism coming in from the government.
No, I think you don't need to have everything as a written law. What is pronounced by the Supreme Court is also a law of the land. But at the same time, the most important thing which needs to be, we do not want the collegium system to get away with the collegium system. We do not want to give complete powers to the executive. I think the MOP which has been set up, that needs to be put into motion, and the system of collegium needs to be more transparent and more vibrant. I think it is more opaque at the moment. That needs to go away, and transparency needs to be brought into the appointment of judges in the High Court and in the Supreme Court.
Well, whether the NJAC or the collegium, I think the larger concern for us as a country is that how our judges are appointed at the Supreme Court and the High Court. There needs to be more transparency. Citizens need to be aware how that is done. And more importantly, this is just a very strong executive testing the waters of judiciary about how it can be, because there's no review against the NJAC judgment and there is no NJAC Part 2 which is coming in, at least on record. That's what the government is saying. Swapnil and Vikas, thank you gentlemen for joining us on the broadcast and sharing your views on this very important story. Sometime ago, my colleague Arunima had also spoken into the Union Law Minister. Listen into this conversation.
Union Law Minister Mr. Kiren Rijiju is speaking to CNN News 18. Mr. Law Minister, if you could help us understand, I know you've spoken and you've touched upon this issue, but if you could help us understand on the issue of judicial appointment, where are your reservations? What is the nature of your reservation there as far as the collegium system of appointment of judiciary, of judges is concerned? You have touched upon the issue of NJAC as well. If you could just elaborate on why you think this is problematic.
See, when it comes to National Judicial Appointment Commission, it was an act passed by the Parliament unanimously. All parties came together and passed this particular act in both houses of the Parliament. We were expecting that judiciary or the Supreme Court will respect the will of the people and will of the Parliament. But the Supreme Court, on its own wisdom, struck it down. If the NJAC was struck down, is the other practice or other mechanism which is in place better than what government had proposed? Definitely not. We felt that NJAC was a better option. But since the Parliament Act was struck down, we continued with the existing collegium system in appointing the judges. In India, now the collegium in the High Court generates the name, sends it to Law Ministry, then Law Ministry processes it, sends it to Supreme Court collegium. So all this process takes lots of precious time out of the judges' precious time. The senior judges, especially the members of collegium, they are fully occupied in the process of appointment. The collegium system is very opaque, and people are not aware that how names are picked up, on what basis the names are generated. So these are opaque. So it is a concern not only as a law minister, I am saying it as my opinion, but it is a concern of everybody.
Moving in public, the failure of YSR Congress Party. Unnecessary YSR Congress Party leaders and particularly some ministers, every day they are criticizing Janasena and Janasena activities is not correct. If here really development is there in YSR Congress Party, why they are upright, why they are every day they are destructing other opposition political party activities. Even Janasena Prachara Ratham, what they are called in vehicle, that is also they are unnecessary, they are creating trouble. If in case of Janasena, they are using some colors, especially their defense people, they are using their unnecessary colors. They are using, that is the matter will take the transport ministry, transport department, transport officials. Why the YSR Congress Party former minister Nani yesterday they are claiming and they are commenting and criticizing that vehicle. Total this scenario, YSR Congress Party 2024 election, they are not fighting battle in field level. Why? Because it's a lot of corruption and as well as also financial drashtight in Andhra Pradesh. Assurance also there, YSR Congress Party there, what they are given in 2019 election promises also, they are not fulfilled. Even unemployment is also high. Today is one of the accidentally, yesterday Parliament they are given the clarification, highest petrol price in our country, one and only state in Andhra Pradesh, second place like Telangana like that. Why they are YSR Congress Party, they are not commenting like this one. Even particularly in Andhra Pradesh, YSR Congress Party, day by day they are losing his YSR Congress Party ruling government credibility. 100% upcoming election, BJP Janasena election battle, 100% we are fighting. But once again I will tell to YSR Congress Party government and leaders, don't destroy, don't distract it in opposition political party activities. That is the directly, indirectly a loss in YSR Congress Party, gain in opposition political parties. This is my sincere advice to YSR Congress Party.
All right, now, Mr. Reddy, I do want to ask you a few follow-up questions. Considering that it's not just the YSRCP which is saying that olive green cannot be used, the Additional Transport Commissioner has also said that dark green can only be used for military vehicles. What they're going to attempt to find out is if the vehicle has been bought as a goods vehicle or as a bus. Now, considering that the Additional Transport Commissioner has also said this, do you not think once the clarification does come out about how it's been bought, whether it's a goods vehicle or a bus, let's say that it goes against the vehicle that has been put out as an election campaign vehicle. Now, days after actor-turned-politician Pawan Kalyan unveiled his campaign vehicle, a special bus which looks similar to a military vehicle, the YSRCP has slammed him, saying that he is violating the Motor Vehicles Act, which states that apart from defense vehicles, no other passenger vehicle can be painted in olive green. Let's listen to some reactions.
Requesting Pawan Kalyan, just come out of the cinema phobia, cinema aura. Indian Motor Vehicle Act, according to Indian Motor Vehicle Act, no one other than army, no one should use olive green color for vehicles, private vehicles. What is there? Just to follow the law. Every time you are going to say, I am a law-abiding citizen, I am more, I will respect all the acts, I will respect all the laws. What is there useful by stating statements only?
As far as the Motor Vehicle Act is concerned, the Central Motor Vehicle rules declare that olive green should not be used for any motor vehicle other than the military army vehicles. That is very clear. Second, we have to first see whether this vehicle is bought, the chassis is bought as a goods vehicle or as a passenger vehicle. So we will have to verify all these things, whether this thing can be registered. If so registered, what is the way the owner wants the vehicle to be registered. It cannot be registered as a bus or something. It should be registered as a camper van.
All right, now I'm crossing over to CNN News 18 Swastika Das to get us more. So Swastika, essentially a war of words in Andhra Pradesh. Can you tell us more about Pawan Kalyan's political plans?
Well, Aisha, Pawan Kalyan is set to take a statewide bus yatra and a campaign trail in Andhra Pradesh starting January next year. This is what his tentative proposal is. And he is gearing up for the big elections in Andhra Pradesh in 2024 and also campaigning for the BJP ahead of the Lok Sabha election. Jana Sena is in alliance with the Bharatiya Janata Party in Andhra Pradesh, and he has also been making steady effort in stitching an alliance between the TDP, Jana Sena, as well as the BJP in a bid to bring back TDP into BJP's coalition, NDA's coalition. And this is something which has now become extremely prominent, with Naidu also making the same overtures to the BJP. But it remains to be seen whether Naidu can come back into NDA's fold. But Pawan Kalyan has been instrumental in doing that. What Pawan Kalyan essentially intends to do is come up with a combined force to take on Jagan Mohan Reddy in Andhra Pradesh. He says Jagan has looted Andhra Pradesh in the name of welfare schemes. The actual beneficiaries are not getting any benefits, and he's on a mission really to go and counter all the false propaganda being put forth by Jagan Mohan Reddy.
All right, Swastika, I want you to stay with us. We are now being joined by Mr. Vishnuvardhan Reddy of the BJP. Mr. Reddy, thank you so much for speaking to CNN News 18. The breaking development is that the YSRCP has lashed out at Pawan Kalyan, saying that his election vehicle violates the Motor Vehicle Act. How do you see this entire war of words?
Yeah, good morning. I think first of all, Mr. Pawan Kalyan is our Andhra Pradesh BJP, one of the election partners and one of the familiar artists, especially in South India and as well as Pan India. Is Pawan Kalyan ji lost 8 years.
Welcome back. And headache for Himachal Pradesh for the Congress party. That thinking within the Congress continues as many leaders are in the fray for the chief ministerial post. If it's the Congress party, it's the problem of the plenty. Himachal Pradesh Congress chief and ex-chief minister Veerbhadra Singh's wife Pratibha Singh has said that there is no groupism and the party will chair a meeting shortly of all the MLAs, observers and decide accordingly. Supporters of Pratibha Singh are protesting in Shimla, demanding that she be made the chief minister. They stopped the central observer Bhupesh Baghel's entire entourage and protested outside the Congress office. Apart from Pratibha Singh, the key contenders for the chief minister post are former party chief Sukhvinder Singh Sukhu and outgoing CLP leader Mukesh Agnihotri. Central observer Rajesh Shukla has made it clear that there is no dispute, there would not be any kind of voting, and it's a single line resolution which is going to be passed. Reactions.
वेलकम किया है इनका, आए हैं हिमाचल प्रदेश में तो इनका स्वागत किया है. कोई ग्रुपिज्म है यहाँ पर कि इतने या मेरे साथ इतना, नथिंग. एवरीबडी इज विद अस एंड एवरीबडी इज फॉर द पार्टी.
हम ये जानना चाहते हैं, हमारे जो हिमाचल प्रदेश की कांग्रेस की अध्यक्ष है, उनकी उपस्थिति में पूरी कांग्रेस पार्टी जीती है और उनको इसका श्रेय मिलना चाहिए, क्योंकि 3 बार वो मेंबर ऑफ पार्लियामेंट रही. आज वो मुख्यमंत्री की हकदार है.
हम ये कहना चाहते हैं कि हम हॉली लॉज के साथ हैं और हमेशा लास्ट तक हॉली लॉज के साथ ही रहेंगे.
प्रदेश का हित के लिए श्री प्रतिभा सिंह ही एक ऐसे नेता हैं जो इस प्रदेश के लिए मिलजुल कर चला सकते हैं, क्योंकि उन्होंने पहले भी मल्टी पार्लियामेंट्री चुनाव को जीता है.
This is generally meeting people, and then I mean, a meeting has been convened with, MLAs. They are gradually reaching to Shimla because people are living in far-flung areas, so they are gradually reaching here. The moment all the MLAs are here, then we will convene a meeting where a resolution will be passed to authorize the party high command. There is no dispute.
Cutting across to my colleague Akash, who's with us on the broadcast. He continues to track all the details of that very crucial meeting, which is expected to happen at around 6 p.m. now. Akash, what's happening on the ground? What is the political hustle-bustle? Take us through the grapevine.
So, Anusha, as of now, I'm standing outside the Rajya Bhavan, which is the Congress office here in Shimla. A number of supporters are there, a number of hustlers we are seeing as of now. In some time from now, we're expecting this CLP meeting, and Rajesh Shukla has clarified that one-line resolution would be the aim of this meeting, where a one-line resolution would be passed there, and he categorically said that there is no dispute. But in the backdrop, we know that how leaders are claiming they can be the face, the contenders. The first contender is Pratibha Singh, of course. We have seen a number of developments related to this particular name, where in fact supporters were raising a number of slogans. After that, we have Mr. Sukhu, who used to be the chief of Himachal Pradesh Congress Committee and is a strong name as well. We heard his soundbite yesterday and he was claiming that he can be a name as well. Then we have a number of leaders, Mr. Sokri is there. So, there is a lot of confusion even in the Congress supporters as well, and everyone is looking for clarity as to who will be the next chief minister of Himachal Pradesh. And because of this,
Akash, I have a brief point to understand from you. The fact that Rajiv Shukla is saying that there's no need for a voting, there would be a single line resolution that's going to be passed. It looks like that the central leadership has already reached a decision. It's only a matter of time then.
So, Anusha, we have seen in the case of Rajasthan as well that how the intention was to just, pass one line resolution and then leave it on the party high command. And, on the same line, Congress is working here in Himachal Pradesh as well, because they know that there is some sort of dispute. And, in fact, supporters, there we have fractions. On one side, we have supporters of Pratibha Singh, and on the other side, we have people who are supporting Mr. Sukhu as well. So they know this for a surety that, that there is a possible dispute and they will not be reaching to final decision in case they'll be going for voting. Okay. And that's the reason why they have decided for this one-line resolution.
Only time will tell if they're able to take care of all the factions, the different concerns. Reactions have been coming in on the story. Let's listen.
अब देखिए, नाम तो होंगे ही, ये तो स्पष्ट चीज़ है। भाजपा से तो हम मुख्यमंत्री लेके नहीं आएंगे, मुख्यमंत्री तो कांग्रेस से ही बनेगा। तो बहुत से नाम हैं जिनके ऊपर चर्चाएं हो रही हैं, सब समीकरणों को देखा जा रहा है। तो वी शुड लीव इट टू द जजमेंट ऑफ द न्यूली इलेक्टेड एमएलएज। इट इज़ देयर प्रेरोगेटिव। जो हम तो अब जो जनता है, जनार्दन है प्रदेश की, उन्होंने तो अपना निर्णय ले लिया है। अब विधायकों का निर्णय है कि वो किसको अपना नेता चाहते हैं। तो लेट इट वी शुड लीव इट टू देयर विजडम कि वो किसको अपना नेता चाहते हैं, और वही चीज़ फिर हाईकमांड को बताई जाएगी और हाईकमांड फिर उस पर अपना निर्णय लेगा।
भारतीय जनता पार्टी जो कि लगातार ये कह रही थी कि डबल इंजन है, केंद्र में हमारी सरकार है, हिमाचल में हमारी सरकार है, हम कांग्रेस को आने नहीं देंगे। सारे विधायक आज शिमला आएंगे, सारे कांग्रेस पार्टी के विधायक हैं। हाई कमान जो कहेगा उसके मुताबिक अक्षरश उस पर अमल होगा। जो हमारे पार्टी के प्रेसिडेंट कहेंगे, सोनिया जी कहेंगी, राहुल जी कहेंगे, प्रियंका गांधी जी कहेंगे, जो उनका हुक्म होगा उसकी तामील की जाएगी।
तो क्या बात हुई है, थोड़ा सा बता दीजिए।
कुछ नहीं, चाय पी के आ गए मैडम।
कुछ सीएम के चेहरे पे कोई बात नहीं सुनने में आ रहा है, प्रतिभा जी का नाम थोड़ा क्वेश्चनेबल आ रहा है।
ऐसा जो भी होगा देखी जाएगी।
मैं बार बार कहता था कि सामूहिक नेतृत्व में चुनाव लड़ते हैं, विचारधारा बड़ी होती है, पद छोटा होता है। अब सवाल ये पैदा होता है कि मुख्यमंत्री के चेहरे को लेकर सवाल पूछ रहे हैं। मुख्यमंत्री का चेहरा भी हो जाएगा। तो पत्रकार, भारतीय जनता पार्टी के नेता बोलते थे कि इनका कोई नेता नहीं है, ये किसके नेतृत्व में चुनाव लड़ रहे हैं। अब जब हम चुनाव हिमाचल की जनता ने जिता दिया, तो अब सवाल ये पैदा हो रहा है कि कौन मुख्यमंत्री बनेगा, किसके। मुख्यमंत्री भी पार्टी हाईकमान बना देगी जिन्होंने विधायक का चुनाव लड़ा है, जिसके वो उसमें से ही कोई मुख्यमंत्री बनेगा।
Welfare schemes, the actual beneficiaries are not getting any benefits, and he is on a mission really to go and counter all the false propaganda being put forth by Jagan Mohan Reddy.
All right, Swastika, I want you to stay with us. We are now being joined by Mr. Vishnuvardhan Reddy of the BJP. Mr. Reddy, thank you so much for speaking to CNN News 18. The breaking development is that the YSRCP has lashed out at Pawan Kalyan, saying that his election vehicle violates the Motor Vehicle Act. How do you see this entire war of words?
Yeah, good morning. I think first of all, Mr. Pawan Kalyan is our Andhra Pradesh BJP, one of the election partners and one of the familiar artists, especially in South India and as well as Pan India. Is Pawan Kalyan ji, last 8 years, is having a political party. 2019 is a contesting JSP, Janasena and other communist parties collaboration. After defeated, he is also there joining BJP alliance. Now there Andhra Pradesh, lot of corruption, lot of undemocratic activity. They are directly, indirectly, their support in under YSRCP leadership. Particularly next 18 months in Andhra Pradesh election battle is also there coming. All political parties is also even ruling political party via Jagan Mohan Reddy also last 3 days back they are conducted one big rally. He's also announced upcoming 18 months their election is came. We are also ready to election battle. Same similar time in Bharatiya Janata Party as well as Janasena is also they are ready to their field level activities is going on. Particularly Bharatiya Janata Party recently we are conducted in national level. BJP also their appreciation regarding Praja Poru is called 300, 400 street corner meetings. We are conducting 6,000 to 7,000 in last month. I think as well as in Janasena also they are ready to moving in public their failure of YSR Congress Party. Unnecessary YSR Congress Party leaders and particularly some ministers every day they are criticizing Janasena and Janasena activities. It is not correct. If here really development is there in YSR Congress Party, why they are upright? Why they are every day they are distracting other opposition political party activities? Even Janasena Prachara Ratham, what they are called in vehicle, that is also they are unnecessary. They are creating trouble. If in case of Janasena they are using some colors, especially their defense people, they are using their unnecessary colors. They are using that is the matter will take the transport ministry, transport department, transport officials. Why the YSR Congress Party former minister Nani yesterday they are claiming and they are commenting and criticizing that vehicle. The total this scenario, YSR Congress Party 2024 election they are not fighting battle in field level. Why? Because it's a lot of corruption and as well as also financial drashti in Andhra Pradesh. Assurance also there, YSR Congress Party there, what they are given in 2019 election promises also, they are not fulfilled. Even unemployment is also high. Today is one of the, accidentally, yesterday Parliament they are given the clarification, highest petrol price in our country, one and only state in Andhra Pradesh, second place like you, Telangana like that. Why they are, YSR Congress Party, they are not commenting like this one? Even particularly in Andhra Pradesh, YSR Congress Party, day by day they are losing his YSR Congress Party ruling government credibility. 100% the upcoming election, BJP Janasena election battle, 100% we are fighting. But once again I will tell to YSR Congress Party government and leaders, don't destroy, don't distract it in opposition political party activities. That is the directly, indirectly a loss in YSR Congress Party, gain in opposition political parties. This is my sincere advice to YSR Congress Party.
All right, now Mr. Reddy, I do want to ask you a few follow-up questions. Considering that it's not just the YSRCP which is saying that olive green cannot be used, the Additional Transport Commissioner has also said that dark green can only be used for military vehicles. What they're going to attempt to find out is if the vehicle has been bought as a goods vehicle or as a bus. Now, considering that the Additional Transport Commissioner has also said this, do you not think once the clarification does come out about how it's been bought, whether it's a goods vehicle or a bus, let's say that it goes against the vehicle that has been put out as an election campaign vehicle. Now, days after actor turned politician Pawan Kalyan unveiled his campaign vehicle, a special bus which looks similar to a military vehicle, the YSRCP has slammed him, saying that he is violating the Motor Vehicles Act, which states that apart from defense vehicles, no other passenger vehicle can be painted in olive green. Let's listen to some reactions.
Requesting Pawan Kalyan, just come out of the cinema phobia, cinema aura. Indian Motor Vehicle Act, according to Indian Motor Vehicle Act, no one other than army, no one should use olive green color for vehicles, private vehicles. What is there? Just to follow the law. Every time you are going to say, I am a law-abiding citizen, I am more, I will respect all the acts, I will respect all the laws. What is there useful by stating statements only?
As far as the Motor Vehicle Act is concerned, the Central Motor Vehicle rules declare that olive green should not be used for any motor vehicle other than the military army vehicles. That is very clear. Second, we have to first see whether this vehicle is bought, the chassis is bought as a goods vehicle or as a passenger vehicle. So we will have to verify all these things, whether this thing can be registered. If so registered, what is the way the owner wants the vehicle to be registered. It cannot be registered as a bus or something. It should be registered as a camper van.
All right, now I'm crossing over to CNN News 18 Swastika Das to get us more. So Swastika, essentially a war of words in Andhra Pradesh. Can you tell us more about Pawan Kalyan's political plans?
Well, Aisha, Pawan Kalyan is set to take a statewide bus yatra and a campaign trail in Andhra Pradesh starting January next year. This is what his tentative proposal is. And he is gearing up for the big elections in Andhra Pradesh in 2024 and also campaigning for the BJP ahead of the Lok Sabha.
Welcome back, and let's talk about the Shraddha Walker murder case. After several weeks, her father has finally broken his silence over the brutal murder of his daughter. Shraddha's father has slapped Maharashtra police under the Mahavikas Aghadi government, the earlier government, for his daughter's murder and whatever she had to go through in that relationship. Her father broke down and he claimed that Maharashtra police had delayed the probe. They did not act on the complaint that was lodged by the daughter, and had the police acted in time on the letter of Shraddha back in 2020, perhaps his daughter could have been saved. Reactions.
वसई पुलिस व नाला सोपारा पुलिस तुळी पुलिस ठाणे इन्होंने इन्वेस्टिगेशन में थोड़ी सी दिरंगाई की। उस वजह से मुझे जो तकलीफ हुई उसका मुझे अफसोस लग रहा है। उस वजह से मेरी बेटी शायद आज जिंदा होती थी। इस मामले में जो भी कोई शामिल हो उसकी भी जांच होनी चाहिए। इस मामले में सही इन्वेस्टिगेशन हो और उसे फांसी की सज़ा होनी चाहिए, ये मैं चाहता हूँ।
श्रद्धा ने वसई पुलिस को जो चिट्ठी लिखी, उसकी जान को किस प्रकार से खतरा है, ये सारी बातें उस चिट्ठी में थी। पुलिस ने यदि उस चिट्ठी को गंभीरता से लिया होता, उस पर कोई ठोस कार्रवाई की होती, तो श्रद्धा की जान बच सकती थी। उद्धव ठाकरे समेत उस दौरान जो सरकार थी, वे लोग श्रद्धा की हत्या के लिए उतने ही जिम्मेदार हैं।
There is a full-blown battle that's going on between the judiciary and the government on the appointment of judges. The judiciary says the existing system, the collegium system, which is a grouping of the senior-most judges of the Supreme Court, that is good enough to continue to appoint High Court and Supreme Court judges. But the government says when the judiciary is getting its fingers in all other forms of government or branches of government, from decisions of the executive to bills being passed in parliament, then why should the executive and the legislature not have a say in the judges that are being appointed to the highest courts of this land? The NJAC was brought in 2015. It was passed by parliament by a large majority, but it was struck down by the Supreme Court, saying it is unconstitutional. The question that begs to be asked is, should the judges also relent and accept that there has to be some amount of either executive or parliamentary oversight over who is being appointed as a judge? After all, in the US, in the UK, the executive and the legislature play a role in the appointment of judges. Why should judges behave like the appointment in senior positions, both in high courts as well as in the Supreme Court, is some kind of a turf war? But first, the story so far.
Parliament in a much-needed historic step, passed the 99th Constitutional Amendment Bill, paving way for the National Judicial Commission